COBI Panther. Right out of the gate, I will address a few things. I have made some modifications to this. First off, I have replaced the new, smaller bar-sized machine gun piece that comes with it with the older MG42 style machine gun piece because I think it just looks better. I've also removed the side skirts, not because I don't like them, just because I personally, I prefer the look without the side skirts. There's a nice print on the back here, and the prints on COBI is always very good. It has a modern cupola piece with prints for the vision blocks, but they're not on the sides where you might expect them to be. They still haven't got a cupola that does the actual German tank thing of, raising up, swinging around, and then fitting down. But you can just take the piece off, like I showed you there, and have it looking like that. And that works well enough for me, at least. The sculpting lines is very good, a lot better than the old Panther. Right here, the transition between the angle on the sides and the angle on the front is done well enough. They used a curved piece instead of making a new mold for an angle piece. And the older Panther had just a regular angled brick, which I'll show. I think that actually worked a bit better. If you build this, you'll see, but the front slope isn't just sitting down like in the old COBI sets. It's well integrated and it's connected in multiple points, which is good. But I personally don't think that the front slope angle is correct. I think the older one was a bit better. And there are these gaps here, which I don't personally like. But if you can overlook that and the slightly wonky proportions, it's a very good tank otherwise. The fenders can flip up and down, but they don't move around too much. There's this piece, which is just, honestly, I couldn't tell you what it represents, but it fits in with that hose very well. There should be a piece on this side, but I've lost it. The gun has the modern COBI barrel piece, which is slightly larger than the smallest barrel pieces that you'd see on, like, the Chaffee. It's slightly larger diameter, but it's smaller than what you'd see on the Pershing. And it does actually, that's another modification I made. The standard release of this comes with an actual, a more detailed muzzle brake piece, but I put this one on because you can add flame attachments to it. And again, like on most COBI sets, you can grab the gun from the muzzle brake and nothing falls apart. At the very most, it will kind of wiggle apart slightly at the seams, and you just push it back in, and it's fine. Another nice print up here. Nice iron cross print. The hatch is open, and it is a tight fit because it's just a 1x2 slot, but you can barely slot a figure down in there. Just like this. They stick up a bit too further for my liking as well. I wish they would have lowered the floor so it looked like they were actually sitting down, but with this size gap, the hands, the arms would be a bit of a problem to get them down that far. Compromises have to be made. The tracks. They have this new gear piece for the drive gear, which actually does not mesh at all, really, like the old drive gears pieces did with the tracks. You can just spin freely. But because these COBI tracks are so good, the gear still spins when you move the tracks, and all the wheels spin. In the back, you have the hook. It does not come with a bucket. Kind of sad. And you have the exhaust pieces. You have these nice big chunks that are built up well. The engine deck is also built up well. It has the two different sizes of radiators, the large one and the small one. German factories would just mix them together. Ideally, it should be either two big ones or two small ones, but it's such a panic at the end of the war that they throw in whatever they had laying around. So you see a lot of Panthers with mismatched radiators. Now we get onto the fun parts. This entire engine deck, you have to line up the turret perfectly, have it like this, and raise the barrel up, and the engine deck comes right up, and then you can slide out. And then you can see this amazing interior with spinning radiator fans and lots of nice print detail on them. And there's the engine right there, which is well built up. And there you go. Yeah, I was right. With a bit of difficulty to get the engine out. It's not as well built up, and definitely doesn't have as many prints on it as a T28 engine, but it's still respectable. It's a nice feature that comes apart. It has a hole where the main drive shaft flywheel would be. It has nice prints up top, which again, for some reason, does not want to focus. No, it's not focusing today. But there's a secondary feature. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying the interior of the turret, there is none. It's just that one little 2x2 space for a commander to sit. So there's no, not even a suggestion of a breach. But if you take the turret off, which again has the very good modern style T-pin, you can lift up these hatches to see an actual ammo rack. Now I'm holding this at an odd angle because the ammo will fall apart. They're just sitting in there. Also, it comes with less ammo than I'm showing here. I put some in from one of my King Tigers as well. The ammo rack is more or less, they would be further out, like right here, but the ammo rack is more or less right where the ammo should be in the real thing, which is awesome. There's a hole for a bar of some sort in the back of the pieces. And look at that. There's no printing, there's no dual molding, but it's an 88 shell piece. Figures can hold them, not from the bottom, but from the top. And you can get them into a more realistic holding pose. The fact that it has an actual ammo rack, it just shows what modern COBI is becoming. With, honestly, don't let the scale modelers hear this, but it's better than a lot of scale models if you want actual like interior detail and working functions. Like the tracks move, you can't say that for a lot of scale models. I personally really love them. Even with the nitpicks I have, it's a major improvement compared to the old COBI Panther, which is also still very good in its own right. And again, you see some parts might fall off if you really handle it really roughly, but it's meant to be more for adults. The one part I do have a problem with, though, which I think comes off a bit too easily even for my liking, is this new shovel piece compared to the old one. They got two different pieces, a bar and a shovel blade piece, which means it's dual molded, but it just slides on like that. And you can kind of fit it on by friction perfectly in the middle of that bar. But even the slightest attempt at using this or picking it up from the wrong way, it just falls right apart. And the problem is, it's a small piece, both of them, this bar and the blade. They don't give you any extras, and if you lose it, well, sorry, you've lost it. So I don't you see, it just happened. It just popped off and fell away. If they're gonna go with this new style of shovel instead of the one molded piece, I would like them to at least give you extra pieces to replace the ones you lose. COBI in general needs to add more extra parts, in my opinion. Otherwise, though, it's an excellent set. It has the interleaved road wheels. It's just amazing. I really do like how far COBI's come. I love it for them. One thing I wish is that they go back and they do more World of Tanks crossovers so we get those stickers. But otherwise, a very good set. Now, I will say, COBI sets have become more expensive, but they have more parts, like in their parts inventory. They have smaller parts, and like the old Panther, it had that little one pre-molded engine piece. And the engine deck pieces were just plates. This has a removable engine deck, it has a built-up engine deck, it has a built-up engine, it has some bits of interior, it has ammunition, it has new molds, new prints. It's more expensive than the old ones. All modern COBI sets are more expensive than their older counterparts, at least at the time of release. But the increase in price, you can tell that it has increased in worth and value as well. Even though they're ostensibly the same tank and they're around the same size, they're still the extra $20 in this guy, I can definitely tell you it is put to use. It's not just stealing from you.